Hi, I'm going to go ahead and take another question today that I've been asked. And this I've been asked by many, many people. They'll talk to me about, hey, I just met someone recently, or maybe they haven't even met in person, but they might just have been introduced via email or text or what have you. And here they start writing to one another, whether it's texting or emails, and they actually just notice how on the same wavelength they really seem to be. They might be finishing each other's sentences if they talk on the phone, or if they're texting, they might actually end up texting the exact same thing at the exact same time, and it happens over and over and over again, like not just once but repeatedly, even during the same conversation. And so people say to me, Valerie, how is that possible? I can't find anyone who's going to explain that to me. And I'm going to say this. Remember that at the core of who we are is energy. And this energy is in our very unique fingerprint of energy patterns. It's like we're a kaleidoscope of energy. And not only is that energy in this physical dimension, but these energies go out in many dimensions, many layers of reality, we can say that. We really are a hologram. So, the defining characteristic of a hologram is that within each part lies access to the whole. So, imagine that there they are, and then there you are. And imagine that, relatively speaking, your energies and theirs really do resonate. Okay, that's a word from physics that we can borrow. So, when energies resonate, basically it's like dolphins that are swimming together, and really the peaks and valleys of these waves really do sync up. And so in resonating, um, it's almost like we're tuning into the same radio channel, okay? And then some magic starts happening when we begin to resonate. When we're resonating, we are now on the same channel or the same bandwidth, and we start entraining to one another. Now, when physicists talk about that kind of entrainment, what they really mean is my vibration influences your vibration. The one person influences the vibration, and it's happening mutually. So, when that happens, imagine how collective the energies become, right? If we're doing that and now we influence one another, it's almost like that's kind of how we find collective common ground. Okay, so we were resonating. Now we're in training. We're becoming a collective field. That could be a basis of telepathy, of being able to have access to the same mind. So sometimes you don't really know the difference between was the thought in your brain first or the other person's brain first. It's one collective field of mind, and so basically you guys are tuning in. It's possible that in influencing one another, you start forming the same words at the same time, really reading each other's minds. So that's resonance and entrainment. We can become entangled. So when physicists talk about entanglement, what they're talking about is this spooky action at a distance that supposedly is impossible if these energies are electromagnetic. So they've kind of ruled out electromagnetism, and some physicists are talking about torsion fields being implicated in entanglement. But here's the scoop on entanglement. So let's say you and I are particles, and my particle self is in London, and my sister particle self is in um, California, let's say. Let's say you and I are sisters, and you're in California, and I'm in London, and we've become entangled. What happens is, when they tickle me in London, so to speak, then you have the same mirror effect of actions that I do in London, even though you're not at all close to me, right? You're on the opposite, let's say, side of the world, but you are having the same reactions that I am, and it's happening the exact same time. It doesn't need time and space to travel these energy waves, it's happening at the exact same time. So we are connected. We're connected non-locally, meaning it's not local wave action, but somehow it's simultaneous. So we do become entangled, and we do become synchronous, right? And it doesn't matter space or time. It doesn't matter if you're on the opposite side of the world. It actually doesn't matter. Let's say we tune into a past life we've had with another person. Um, Someone we've known from another distant time, or some other dimension. It kind of makes sense that if these other dimensional realities are true, as we're suspecting they're true, and that these energetic parts of ourself, are existing at across many dimensions, then it makes sense that we would actually have access to that through some of these mechanisms like resonance and entrainment and entanglement, being entangled across space and time. Sometimes we might call that soulmates. In spiritual circles, right? Oh my gosh, it felt like a soulmate. I can't even believe how we were connected at multiple different levels. Now, the other part of this is about love, because someone will now say, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm in love more than I've ever been in love before. And I will say, um, be more thoughtful about what that really means and about how you jump into reactions with this. And here's what I mean by that. Okay, we certainly can be connected, interconnected, non-locally entangled, and it feels amazing, because really when these energies line up, it's like we're having multiple dots connecting the dots. We're connecting the dots across multiple dimensions, even of time and space, and the energies are ratcheting up, and they're aligning, they're coming together, and it really does feel amazing when we can do that. Okay, now usually if we fall in love, the same kind of thing is happening. We become open to a person, and we're open to their energies, and our energies are blending and starting to resonate and starting to entrain, and perhaps even starting to become entangled. But notice that we call it love, but it's really a feeling of openness and exchange of energies. But what happens to normal love and relationships is, um, it can't it can't last beyond the everyday. In other words, the everyday can kind of destroy it, right? We get up, we have breakfast, we got to go to work, and what have you, and we can't stay in that really blissful state of connection. Um, Physical orgasm is a state where we've certainly been resonating and in training one another's energies to the point where our energies are intermingled and physically things are happening. But you can feel the resonance, you can feel the vibration of orgasm, and it completely opens you up to where you can lose awareness of self, right? So let's just say that love is really an energy of openness and interconnectedness, and the dots are connecting even across multi dimensions. That's real love, that's higher love. But that doesn't mean that we should run out and marry the person, because we might have different goals on this plane. There might be different reasons that we're really not meant to live together. And what have you. We can, right? We can have a soulmate that we end up having a lifelong partner, and the relationship really lasts. But it takes a mature, conscious effort on our part to make that last, doesn't it? It means that we're consciously taking the time to tune into that person and how they change over time. And we love them for not this feeling they give to us, but we love them for who they are, their essence, and that allows for their growth and transition. And sometimes we grow together, sometimes we grow in different directions, but that kind of love can last because we're mutually supporting one another in that way, and it isn't about this feeling that we're going to get. Now, this feeling that we can get through love, we can get through physical orgasm, but we can also get through meditation. Some people get there through drugs, but there's a lot of, unfortunate, unhealthy things that happen, and things that foster addiction, even love addiction, because we love this feeling. We're really in love with this feeling of love. So what I would say is, um, when this happens, see it for what it is, and we might be really souls that are connected beyond dimensions. We might have some vocabulary from physics to help us understand how it's possible. Words like resonance and entrainment and being entangled as holographic beings across time and space, non-locally. But when it comes to that feeling, remember that first, when you're loving yourself, you are connecting to those other dimensions for yourself, right? And learn how to do that in meditation. Learn how to be in love first, aligned with these multidimensional aspects of yourself. Secondarily, if you find that beautiful soulmate and you're connecting on all cylinders and you can feel these different dimensions when you're hooking up and you have so much resonance and entrainment that you're telepathic, you have ESP, you're finishing each other's sentences, and you truly start knowing what each other are saying and you're saying the same things at some time, take it slowly. Really get to know the person that you're with, and foster the kind of love that can last. Fall in love with that person for who they are and their unique blend of energies and how that motivates their life and how they grow over time. But just remember that these things are a couple of separate things. Anyway, I hope that's helped. Um, that subject is so broad and wide. I tried to narrow it. I didn't want to do too long of a video. But if you have specific questions that are kind of related, feel free to message me in Facebook. Anyway, I love taking your questions. Thanks, and bye for now.